it's Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story Podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, it's Ivy Slater, and welcome back to this episode of Her Success Story. Today, I have the pleasure and the honor of interviewing somebody I've had really a great time getting to know. Jacquie Jordan and her company, TVGuestpert, also happens to be my PR agency. Jacquie Jordan is the founder of a 15-year-old Silicon Beach-based TVGuestpert. It's a publishing and on-camera training company. TVGuestpert is a media development company that raises the profile of the guestpert in the media and grows their clients' core business. With TVGuestpert, and I will say they are fabulous behind me, Jacquie has worked with businesses on their branding, promotion, marketing, producing, and development, as well as on their on-camera execution, which has been a godsend. Today, I look forward to talking to Jacquie and learning a little bit about her background and what she did before she started this company. And I believe this company is 15 years old now?
Yeah.
Or 15 years young?
Yeah, I think we're heading towards, no, I think we're heading towards 20.
Wow. So you have two young women talking about businesses that we couldn't possibly own for close to 20 years.
Amazing.
And sharing some tips, strategies, and what it's all about is long-term success. So welcome, Jacquie. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much. It's such a privilege to be here. And the office just sent you, we have a Wall Street Journal inquiry today about LinkedIn being ineffective. So we can't wait to hear your take on that. Exactly. I know, right? Like all of that content development is just pop in front of us.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's all inside, but you'll follow the conversation. You'll get where we're going with it.
Exactly. So give congratulations on a business that's close to 20 years old.
As a female entrepreneur in Hollywood, in the entertainment industry, who runs a solvent company, and my staff has been with me pretty much most of the time, the whole time as well too. So
that's saying something in and of itself. And before we go there, share a little bit about your background and what led you to opening the doors of this company.
Just a real quick story. So I think a lot of women are opening businesses if they haven't already started. So I think, Ivy, what you and I have been doing, we were really front runners as female business owners. I think it's safe to say at this point. But my last TV show that I was a showrunner for was a show on AMC called Sunday Morning Shootout. And it was an insider show, and I really enjoyed doing it. But the guests on the show were Harvey Weinstein, Brett Ratner, Jeremy Piven, Kevin Spacey. Let me see who else. And I was it was 2006, and we just taped our 100th episode, and Steven Spielberg was the guest for that show, and I was really proud, to get him, and he's not in the category of the other names that I just named, but
he's in a category unto himself.
Yes, and he warranted the 100th episode, and we did 2 episodes. He did 100 and 101, and it was time for me to go, because I was very clear that I had tapped my level of support within the industry. I was either going to compete against women who were my bosses, or I was going to compete against my juniors who were cheaper than me. And because it was just this pyramid. And so that's when I stepped out and started my own business. And it was still in my 30s at the time I did that. And I actually, believe it or not, didn't get a lot of industry support when I started it. A lot of people thought I was crazy to step out and start my own business on my own. So they were kind of like, ooh, cooties, you stay away.
So how do you navigate, how did you navigate it? Because it's not unusual when, especially in our time, when we stepped out and created our own businesses. And, you were in your boys' clubs in Hollywood, and I was in my boys' club of printing. And, everybody was like, really? Like, how did you navigate that negativity coming at you and be able to build a business that you could pay yourself and build a team to pay?
Yes, I think because I ran, part of my job was running show budgets. And so my shows were always small businesses within a bigger business. So I didn't realize I was being schooled on money management, straight up. And in fact, it's one of the philanthropies that I still participate here in the LA, as I do a lot of volunteer work with women business owners and entrepreneurs who are either starting business or at different levels of their businesses. Because I went through that it's very easy to get delusional and think that your candle making hobby is going to one day support you, and it literally is not going to systematically support you. You know, so that I had that experience. I had also, because I was as a showrunner, as a television showrunner, then I produced shows like Montel, Geraldo, Maury Povich, CNBC, Wall Street Journal TV. My Emmy nominations are from the Donnie and Marie show. So I had this big history of television, mostly talk shows, but sometimes news. I always worked for myself in the way that I was get hired, but I would only get picked up for a season. So I never was in the industry and ever had that sweet paycheck. Like, I'd get paid really well, but then the show would go on hiatus and we'd have to wait for a renewal. So I was very entrepreneurial in between taking on clients, or I was in the habit of taking on clients and projects too. So I had that, like, let me be creative, let me see how I can earn money, because I was also at a very young age at S Corp. So I couldn't collect unemployment, right? Which was a lot of my other colleagues were doing, were collecting unemployment. So in hindsight, I was like, wow, I was really groomed to launch. I had no idea, because let me tell you, when I jumped, it was probably, it's buying my house, some of those big jumps, like buying my house, getting a divorce, starting my business, those big life jumps.
Those are major, major life jumps. And it's interesting when you go to buy your first house as a business owner, what the banks require differently.
Well, as you should say that, those two things happened at the same time. When I was leaving the show, I was like, I better buy a house, because I had the right paperwork at the time, which I wasn't sure how long I was going to take until I got the right paperwork to show the bank. So I bought and started my business, which was my worst fear ever. I did them both at once.
Gutsy and possible, because, so it proves a point. It could scare the crap out of us.
And it doesn't have to be reality.
And we have the ability to rise to the occasion and accomplish. So when in the early days, who were your first clients? What did they look like?
They're actually not much different than my clients today. They are professionals with an aggregated body of work or professional wisdom that know that it is their mission to get their work out to larger audiences than their current sphere of influence. And believe it or not, I'm still in touch with so many of my clients. Our company retention rate, I'm really proud of, is many years. So I've got clients on my roster that have been with me 7, 8, 9 years, or, with me 3 years, out 1 year, back with me 3 years, depending on where their life, but we're really in touch with our original clients. And in fact, 2 of my previous clients, their daughters are now my clients. Their daughters were too young to be my clients before, but now they're my clients. So that's also, I actually think I have 3. I have a man whose daughters, so I've got 3 daughters of former clients right now. So
that truly, it's a great message. Listeners, for those of you who've been listening for a while, I have a book out that's called From the Bar to the Boardroom, Choreographing Business Success Through Authentic Relationships. And it's about the value of relationships. And what Jacquie is sharing here is, whether somebody is a client today or not, the relationship doesn't end. The relationship has huge value and will pay you back tenfold, your value of putting that time into it.
I love that. That's one of your core messages. We're getting ready in our publishing company. We have a New York Times bestselling publishing company. And in our publishing company, we're getting ready to launch another book, but it happened through a woman I sat with at a dinner party like 4 years ago. And, so it's just, you don't know where these connection points take us. And it always feels like something, if I get out of my own way, it always feels like something larger is leading it, but you can only see that in the rearview mirror. If you know what I mean.
That is so true. That is so true.
In the rearview mirror, it's like, oh, that all made sense.
So share a little bit, because, I highlighted really, really quickly, so you have a New York Times, right. Give us through
the Bestselling Publishing
the leverages.
We have we do media training. What we're most known for is our media placements, primarily our television placements. We do place in all medium forms, but we're known for our television placements. Why we don't call ourselves a PR company is that we call ourselves a media development company, is that our goal is to raise the profile of the expert in the media so that the client's business grows. So we're really strategic on how to do that. We were just stepping into teaching podcasting for clients, so setting up podcasting like this for different companies and businesses. So that's the scope of what we do. But we also do, brand imaging. We've got stylists who will take you shopping. Like, we do the whole package. But what we're known for is our media placements. And
I will say your team does it well and with ease and grace. So I want to just share something. I've worked with a lot of people over years in many different ways. And what is the biggest joy of working with not just Jacquie, but her team. And when she referred to that, her people have been with her for a long time. And I do want to get into that, of how you cultivate a team that stays for the long haul. They're so lovely. They're so warm. They're so encouraging and communicative. So what's your skill set in either hiring and developing? What do you do that makes your company and your team so fabulous?
Thank you so much for that. I credit the success of the company because of my team. So I one of the things I do is try to listen to their input, like really, really listen to their input. And because it's their input that helps me be successful in what I do. Also, when we're bringing people or talent on, we've got the job that we need to fulfill, but we also try to pay attention to what the skill set is that the person can do, because maybe we think they're going to fit in column A, but really they're a combination of a little a, but C, and can you make that work, and can that be valuable? I think we do a lot of that. And then we also have a company that, we've got a lot of long-term vendors that have been with us. So as they grow, we grow, they grow, we grow. It's been a combination of all those pieces. I also think you have to be financially generous. I think you have to be generous, and then also what we do also is, listen to what the goals and dreams of my team are. And also, since, our company creates opportunity for our clients, doing the same thing for our team. What opportunities can we create for them so that they grow and develop too? Because you don't want the job to become a dead end job, like where, and work is work, of course. I'm not responsible for making other people's dreams come true per se, but if there is measurement and growth that is fulfilling to them, then they will continue to participate. Because what you want them to be is invested in the collaboration, not of just, not me, Jacquie, but of what we've created, which is the company TVGuestpert.
So let me ask you this. In building a company for close to 20 years, what are some of the challenges you've faced, and how have you navigated them?
Oh, well, challenges, that list I can talk about too. The challenges, there's been a couple challenges. I'm considered a bootstrap company, so I've not taken outside money for my company. That didn't seem right for the work, but I'd be open to it now. But so cash flow, and because we do projects, we do a lot of different projects. We have to make sure that the cash flow is meeting the deliverables that we're doing on multiple levels. So we're doing it on multiple levels, multiple fronts, publishing and placements, and so that's it. The other challenges, the one I had said in the beginning, the industry was a little like, what are you doing with your business? It really forced me to go cultivate new relations. And then that proved to be fruitful. And then the business industry came around, and now they're extraordinarily supportive of what I do, because, now it's almost 20 years, and there's a track record of consistency. And the other challenge that I face, and Ivy, it's so funny, you were really generous. We spoke with our company about it. We put some time into it, is I'm a small but mighty fish in a very big pond in Hollywood. And we're going through a lot of changes. And when I started this company, there was no Facebook, or Facebook had just started. So and the cell phone, like the smartphone, not the cell phone, but the smartphone had just come out. So my company has managed to stay relevant through all of those technological changes. And I think that's why it's in our bio that we're in Playa Vista or Silicon Beach, because that's where Facebook is, and Instagram and YouTube. Like, we're been nestled in that whole nook of all of that, which wasn't even in existence when I started the business. So staying relevant is the challenge, but the good news is, I was just involved with 2 company conversations with Condé Nast and NBC, which are obviously big industry players, and I'm watching them trying to figure out what the pivot is. And the great news about my size company is we get to be agile. So the challenge is that we have to pivot, but the great news is that we're agile because we have the flexibility, and it's just perfect for your book and your background. So we have the flexibility to be agile, to pivot as required, as times are changing. And as it goes for content, because that's a big part of our business and our business development, is reflecting back to our client what their messaging is as it relates to a bigger story in the collective narrative. So, with the presidential situation in the last couple of years, and that's not a political statement one way or another, it's just that the narrative became very specific and narrow. Before then, I always say it was in completely all Kardashians, all things Kardashian. So finding ways to get messaging in, and especially again, right now we're in a heightened planetary time, getting conversation in, threads in the collective narrative is our creative challenge, but as a company. So those are ways that we have to be flexible and agile and creative, but that is my emotional satisfaction for the job that I get to do, especially as my clients grow.
And it's truly staying in the pulse of the evolution in business in the last 20 years has been massive. I personally align this with the Industrial Revolution. That's how significant the impact of technology has been on the business evolution. And having a small company, especially a company that you've been able to grow in a bootstrap methodology, that you can then pivot, you could listen to what's going on, you could test market things, see what's working, because you're not moving a full corporation, you're moving a small company.
Yeah. We just dealt with one of the big players. They canceled a show, laid off the staff, but it's a big corporation, and it's one of the other 3-letter companies, but they just laid off everybody instead of distributing them through their multiple other holdings. That seems like such old, crazy mentality to me. And I think the flexibility of being a small company or a smaller company in that regard is really beneficial. And I think there's going to be a lot of us now popping up in remarkably big ways upcoming, especially as women. I think it's going to be a lot of women really, really doing that. And, and now I can see where our company is going to be helping other women get to be public with their business. It's also a very saturated place right now. It's very noisy trying to get attention for your business, whether it's social media, is it LinkedIn, is it Instagram? There's a lot of that. It's a lot of noise. So messaging and branding is going to be actually even more important probably than it was, but it has to be resourced well, money well spent, and effective.
Right. So where do you see the next steps for yourself, and TVGuestpert?
Well, I think we're onto it for I think we're onto it as a company. We launched a broadcast podcast this past year called Front and Center with Jacquie Jordan. And it's where we take the storytellers, change agents, and activators making impact from behind the scenes, making a difference. And so we launched it, and I was looking to see how we could template. How do you template something that could be a TV show, a YouTube show, and a radio or audio podcast? And so we did it, and it's Emmy eligible. And we're going to continue doing that, and we really hope to have you on as a guest upcoming. That would be fantastic, and you get to share your story, how you're doing that behind the scenes with your clients in business. And yeah, so we're going to be continuing that, and we're starting to get some really fun invitations for where to present the show and who to put on the show. And so we're going to continue to grow that for ourselves. And then now we have the template that we can pass on and reproduce for our clients at whatever level they want to go forward with that level of production.
So woman to woman, how do you do it all? How do you get that personal life in, the self-care? Talk to us.
That's a great question. Well, I went to yoga at noon, and I am, if the self-care isn't first, I'm completely ineffective. I am definitely I'm a morning exerciser, meditator, journaler, get the food prepped kind of person. But at the same time, I can be remarkably relaxed in the work. For coming from a television production, it was really cool to work those 80 hours a week. Sometimes we would sleep under our desks, and the coolest producer who slept overnight won. Those days are not going to happen again. Like, that whole entire work culture is not going to happen. The next generation isn't going to fall for what you and I fell for before in terms of how we had to work.
I slept on a conference table several nights.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
You know what I'm talking about. So yeah. So after you escape that, you should reshift your priorities. So, and I know that because I have I'm a nuts and bolts person. Sometimes when people come in to work with us, they think it's all like all red carpet party stuff. And we're writing things on grids. We're doing follow-up calls. I mean, you can walk in and think that we're like vacuum salespeople because we keep track of everything we do. It's notes, grids, communication, phone calls. It's so not glamorous to get the work done. But with that said, I have to be a channel of creativity and opportunity for my clients. And so if I am not well taken care of by myself, if I have not taken care of myself well, I am ineffective in that. So anytime I doubt whether I need to step back, take a day off, I'm a swimmer. I'm a lunchtime swimmer here in LA on a swim team. If I don't step out and do those things that make me feel clear and positive and creative, then I'm completely ineffective. So I do make that. And then when I have to work on a weekend or night or weekends, or I worked a lot. I usually pick up the bulk over the holidays so my team can have the holidays off. Then I don't complain about it because I've taken care of myself in all of these, micro increments along the way. So I don't, that doesn't feel bad. And I don't let the buildup happen. I watch the buildup happen, and I don't let the buildup happen anymore. And then because I have the space, I can trust my creative, intuitive sense. I'm like, that person's name popped in my head. I need to see why, and I need to call that. Like, I can trust that is working.
And I think that's a huge message, and it's so important to our listeners. Understand that if you don't take care of yourself, you can't be creative to grow your business, to grow if you're in a larger company and you're on a leadership track. You can't be your best self to lead whatever it is you're leading if you don't take care of yourself. And it's truly great leaders who learn and have learned that to stop and do that. Yeah,
I think it's, I think especially because women, if we're stepping out of patriarchal, big corporate the women's cycles and needs are completely different anyway than that linear way of being. And it's not that my company doesn't run that way. I just know that I can't always be in that space. So if I have to take more time, or, I just do what I need to do to take care of myself. And I've become, as I've gotten older, unapologetic about it, and also respectful to people who have to also do the same.
Yeah. Very, very smart. So last tips for our audience today, for the growing women leaders who listen to us, and whether you're growing at 30, 40, 50, or 60, we're still all growing to be our best.
That is so true. Just wrapping up, our last point is that when technology became more intrusive, the need to self-care had to go up. Because when we were just working our little hours, people weren't able to find us the way that they were able to find us. So you could actually have your private, but now if somebody wants you, we're 24/7-ish if we wanted to be available to the world. So that self-care thing really has to happen, because we probably work in ways now that we never, in good ways, we get to travel and work, and in not so good ways where work is always there and we could do it at any time. So that's that piece. The other tip that I have for which tip are we wanted to go to for being a successful business?
Being a successful women leader.
Women leader. I think we have to trusting ourselves, trusting that intuition, making time for our intuition, and not being scared to stand up. I think I think not being scared, and that means in a lot of ways. That means a lot of things. And trusting when something isn't feeling right. Doesn't feel right. This contract doesn't feel right. It doesn't smell right. It doesn't look right. We're just trusting ourselves.
Trust that intuition. Your gut is talking to you. Don't ignore it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Jacquie, how can our listeners find out more about you?
I would love to hear from your listeners, Ivy Slater's listeners. Thank you so much for asking. You can, we're TV Guestpert is the company, TVGuestpert.com. And you can always, we're on Instagram, TV Guestpert. We're on Facebook. Our podcast is Front and Center. You can find us on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. And of course, you can reach out to us. Yeah, email me at jjordan@tvguestpert.com. I'm pretty easy to find there.
So Jacquie and her team, my eternal gratitude for everything you do for myself and Slater Success. Listeners, read the bio below, find out more about Jacquie, reach out to her, take a look at the website. They're an awesome company. They deliver on what they say, and that I can endorse. As well as Jacquie is an amazing leader and somebody to follow and see how she has done this. So thank you for joining me and sharing those pearls of wisdom.
Thank you, Ivy. Have a beautiful day.
Have a beautiful day, listeners. Till next time.
Approval anymore, 'cause I've got mine.